Okay, we should be live. Hello, everyone. We'll give anyone who's joining a sec to join. I'll just tweet out the link. What are we doing, Sam?
All right. Depressed at the recent news, to be honest.
Yes. Well, so this is the next shutting down of the country again, I guess you mean?
Yes, the next taking of our civil liberties.
What civil liberties, though?
So what are they? They're very quickly disappearing.
They're just provided to us by the government. They're not inherent to our very being.
Just something that we all decide upon. Nothing inherent about them at all. That would require a genuine definition.
Yeah. I mean,
inalienable or something which doesn't depend on another person's labour. Just throwing ideas out there.
EE says Chibin. Hello. What was I going to say? Yeah, the fact that it's coming in on November the 5th seems a bit symbolic.
Is it? I didn't actually put that together.
Remember. Yep, it actually is.
Fucking hell.
I feel like that's a bit ballsy on their part.
That is very ballsy.
People were literally setting off fireworks outside my window yesterday.
They were outside mine as well. I don't even know where from because there's no gardens around mine.
Well, where I live on a high street, but there's a park opposite.
Yes.
And when I say they were letting off fireworks in the park, I mean literally in the park, not above it. I mean like at ground level. There were like rockets going off and fucking sparklers and shit everywhere.
Did you ever do that with when you were a kid with Roman candles, just fire them at each other?
No.
Oh yeah, don't recommend.
Because obviously being in the civilized areas of the country.
Yeah, we did it on the park and everything. It was great.
Didn't do that shit. No, we used to have a big one. Yeah, in the field just down the road from my house in the village. They had like a massive. It was owned by one of the other guys in the road. And they had like a huge bonfire and a shit ton of fireworks and stuff.
Yeah, no.
Of course, bonfire night is going to be banned this year.
Of course, to be honest, that's probably the real reason that they're doing it on the 5th.
Well, remembrance as well. I mean, there's a huge. I mean, the cenotaph near me is literally just down the road, so I'll probably wander around there on Remembrance Sunday, see what's going on.
You'll be the only one.
I mean, I don't think they're going to have any sort of. I mean, last year I went down, there was a whole like crowd of people. There was a whole like service, like church service going on in the like outside air with army people and that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm planning on going into town to see if anything is going on. But actually, I'm even allowed.
Well, I mean, if you're locked down, then presumably this is just the rest of the country catching up to you, right?
More or less. I think there is still some. I think there is slightly more restrictions on us now. I'll be honest, I've not checked it out properly.
Neither have I. I mean, I thought last night that it was basically they were saying that this is going in from now, and I was like, okay, well, does that mean I can go to work on Monday?
Yeah,
that was my first thought. I'm like, shit. I think the kickboxing gym I've been going to is shut down. Like the martial arts place is going to have to shut down.
Yeah, the gym that I was going to is
brutal.
Shut down. I mean, I'm off this week. I was having this week off to just sort of like possibly go around the lakes, go hiking a little bit, start going to the gym again, getting myself back into a little bit of a routine, bit of shape, and now, yeah, you're not allowed to leave. You're not allowed to do any of this. Go back to your flat and be fat.
Yeah,
it's the government's fault. It's the government's fault I'm getting away, not mine. Not my own ability to stop stuffing my face with pizza and burrito.
Live in the pod.
Oh, be gone, pod person.
Yeah, well, you said that your dad was just looking up the great filter theories. I mean, not great filter, great.
Not great filter, great reset. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't too aware of it. It's from what he was telling me, something to do with the World Economic Forum. So I think Davos and things like that. So I'd heard of it before.
They put out an article a while ago. It was a few years ago. Yeah, it was a few years ago saying something like 2030, you will own nothing. You will.
Well, they put out a video saying very similar things. Own your own car, like.
Well,
is this supposed to be a positive thing?
Even the kitchen utensils you use will be rented, and it's not like Like, presumably, whoever you rent them from owns them. So it's
Yeah.
not that means private property is going away. It just means you won't have
Well,
any.
it doesn't necessarily. What if the state owns it?
Well, it's collective ownership, isn't it? You know, if a large company owns it.
That's a horrible thought. I don't understand how people can listen to that and go, "Yeah, I like the sound of this. It sounds absolutely dreadful."
Because they don't understand science or economics or history.
Yes, and yes. But my dad was sort of freaking out. He also read in, which is something I hadn't heard of, but bank buy-ins. If you're
that's not one that I know about.
No, well, this I don't know what the truth is, but apparently they've done this in the last few years in Cyprus. Basically, the bank took half of what people have in their banks because they weren't in liquidity. So they basically took like 50 grand. If you 50% over 100 grand, I think it was 100,000 euros, and basically tried to reinvest it to make the bank liquid again.
Oh fuck!
I don't know how truthful this is. I've not looked into it because I basically came onto this as soon as I finished with my parents. But that's what my dad's freaking out about, is properly going tinfoil hat and like, yep. I'm half expecting them to start blaming the Jews, to be honest. But
I mean, I wear my tinfoil hat pretty much permanently nowadays, but I still am skeptical of anything where people start blaming Jews.
Yeah, no. I just to clarify, my dad would never go down that route.
Send him the PA website.
No. But so now he's going to talking about how he's going to take all of his money out of his stocks, shares, and banks and things, and just invest all in gold and just bury it under his apple tree. It was like, cool, right? I know where my inheritance is, at least.
That's true. He's just going to dig it up in the night and run away with it.
Those pesky dogs. Oh God, yeah. What are we going to do now?
I guess this is the point where cryptocurrency kind of.
Oh, do you want China's?
That's true. Yeah.
Full national control over it.
Government-owned cryptocurrency is kind of defeats the point, doesn't it?
Yes, completely.
I guess the idea is that it's untraceable. Well, it's supposed to be. If it's on the blockchain, it's entirely readable by everyone. Everyone knows who's sending money to who.
Yeah, but is that how it's going to be in China?
Well, that's how it is in the West. I don't know about China. Because it's not really
their own one, isn't it? I'm not sure that it's. Is it actually a cryptocurrency in the way like Bitcoin is, or is it like?
I don't know, to be honest.
It's basically just a digital currency.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically a digital currency as it is, but I think, bloody. I don't think somebody wants to see economics.
Sorry, Jack, but yeah, just so you know the message. Yes, I will be joining CK2 tonight.
Have you decided where you're starting?
Not a bloody clue. I'm just going to click somewhere random.
you might. I would avoid Central Europe. As I said, it's currently being crusaded quite heavily.
Yeah, I've heard that's not a great place to be right now.
There's I would say maybe 20,000-30,000 guys fighting it out in the center of Europe, with another 50,000 from Carthage and probably a similar amount from Byzantium about to come in, or sitting on the sidelines watching at the moment.
Right, I'm probably just going to go sit off in a corner on my own and just watch this carnage happen.
Go to like Sri Lanka or something.
Yeah. I'm going to take over India. That's what I'm going to do.
Well, there's already a large empire in India, and that's an AI controlled one. As I said, you're welcome to take on my Eastern Kingdom and then just go conquer eastwards.
I don't know. I like the thought of starting on my own.
I mean, I said Asia is pretty free, like Central Asia.
I might have a look around there then.
Yeah, well, we can join and have a look later on.
Yeah.
I guess just one kind of final thing to mention before we get started is that a few people apparently have been asking, sort of around the Unpopular Academy, that kind of area, for a more science and technology focused community. I'm just going to say that is in the works in the next week or so, maybe. That'll be available. It's being set up, and I'll probably be somewhat involved. So I will, at the point where it becomes available, I will start shilling it. People can join that for all sorts of cool science and tech stuff. We've got stuff about hardware, home automation already. There's different places for different programming languages people want to talk about and learn projects, that sort of thing. So if people want to look at that, then keep an eye. Keep an eye on my. This literally happened yesterday. So.
I don't. Your point.
I will drop you a link and pull you in when it's available.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so should we get started?
Oh yeah, we're ready to do the thing.
I mean, this one's going to be fairly, I think, relaxed because both of us, I don't think, have had much time to do much research this week.
No, we're quite hectic.
Yeah, I guess for context, I've been trying to cram for some Microsoft exams that I've realized I have to do by the end of the year, and there's quite a lot of work to do for them. So I'm quite busy at the moment.
Never changes.
Yeah.
It never ends.
Well, it's weird going to professional exams because I was told that you needed a university and public education to get decent qualifications, and then I realized that private companies were offering exams in their own products, which were industry-wide accepted.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Yeah. It's almost like there's no point in going uni anymore. It's just a way to take more of your money.
Or more of your future money, more of your children's money.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to be talking about this week, I mean, this is kind of, obviously it's not Halloween anymore, it's November. But the idea was to do something a little...
doing this yesterday. just
pretend that this is Saturday. And you still got a Sunday to go before the week starts on Monday. So I haven't read your theory, Jack. You've written an essay in the chat again. We're going to be talking about Fermi paradox, great filters, that sort of thing. I mean, it's under the umbrella of the Great Silence, I guess. Which I guess I prefer it because it's a spookier sounding.
It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
So the idea is, we obviously by our very existence know that complex life is possible. Sentient creatures are possible. And we obviously have done a lot of investigation into the universe, how old it is. We realized the university is several billion years old, and we're like, right, we know that we've come from nothing in, well, if you want to go all the way back, like about 1 billion years. Mm-hmm. So surely there should be other civilizations of our level or more. Because think about how far we've come in the last 100 years, the last 1,000 years. In the next 1,000 years, where we will be. 1,000 years is not very long at all on astronomical timescales. It's like a blink of the eye. So you'd expect there to be a lot of other civilizations out there which are of our level or greater. And the fact that we are currently shouting into the void with radio communications and all sorts would... we have no reason to believe that other civilizations wouldn't be doing the same. Mm-hmm. The question is, when we look at the rest of the universe, why does it appear to be totally dead? There's no sign of complex life anywhere.
Or even on the past.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, when we're looking out into space, we are looking back in time, so the further out you look, the less, I guess, likely it is to see it. If you look out 14 billion light years, that's going to be back to the start. Mm-hmm. I think Jack's asking about thoughts on his theory. What has he said? It is highly likely, extremely likely, in fact, that life exists elsewhere in the universe, but our capacity to find it is limited because of distance, especially the galaxies drifting apart. The further we look back, the further back we are looking. Human life is extremely young, so vice versa, they probably wouldn't see us. Human life is extremely young. Yes, yeah, I mean, that's one. So this paradox, the fact that we don't see anything, is called the Fermi paradox, which is the name of it. And there are various kind of... Sorry?
Thank you for the segue.
You're welcome. There's various kind of solutions to that. So we call a solution to the Fermi paradox is an idea that explains this, explains why we don't see any life out there. So I guess what Jack's saying is just the distance involved, which, human life, our capacity to send out radio broadcasts is what, 100 years old, give or take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In 100 years, we've been shouting into the void. They've traveled 100 light years, I guess. That's how radio waves work.
yeah. I was just like, bro, that was good. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's how maths work. So
times, light, yeah.
So obviously the nearest star is 4 light years away-ish. So we've gone 20 times further than the closest star in the time that we've been sending out radio signals. So that's not it's not bad, but it's nothing. It's insignificant compared to the rest of the universe. But if you think about it, if some civilization had evolved 1 million years ago on some far off planet, then the sort of sphere of communication with them is 1 million years, 1 million light years even.
Yeah.
And there's no reason, obviously, because we've only come into this level of technology from, civilization, we could say, has been around for 5,000 years, give or take. From going from cavemen to now is... Yeah, sorry?
Yeah, of course, the past 5,000 years, that seems reasonable to me.
Going from cavemen to where we are now, it's taken 5,000-6,000 years. I guess from before that, we were kind of hunter-gatherers, cavemen. I'm trying to get the time scales here. When did Homo sapiens come about? It's like 50 to 100,000 years, I think.
Possibly.
So extraterrestrial life forms may have picked up on all the porn we've been making.
Hey, let's during No Nut November. Remember what time it is now.
Remember.
No Nut November. Yeah.
No Nut November. Exactly. Crucially, galaxies are getting further apart. Yes, but that just means that the light from them... Remember, Jack, you should know by now that the speed of light does not depend on what reference frame you're in. So all it means is the light waves are just stretched by the expanding of space, because the galaxies aren't actually moving apart. The space is just getting stretched. About 250 to 100,000 years. Yeah, so Homo sapiens. And then, back then it's like you just get into higher apes, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to pinpoint the split between sort of animal life
and then
to higher apes to humans. Yeah. Because obviously from the first primordial ooze in the ocean to then is one era. You go from single cell to multi-celled, and then from multi-celled to like us.
Yeah.
Obviously the multi-celled part is is quite significant, as is the single-celled part. I think the Homo sapien and Homo sapiens sapien is like... People put that distinction in basically that there's a point in which we stopped being hunter-gatherers and kind of there was a sudden cognitive jump where we switched to being more in the agriculture, or more into agriculture and city building and stuff. And I guess that's the distinction, is the Homo sapien is the hunter-gatherer caveman, and the Homo sapien sapien is the city building civilizational human.
Right. Okay.
I guess. That might just be a bit of a cope, to be honest. I don't think there's much physiologically different between the modern human and the caveman. Sort of mental capacity or whatever. I mean, there's whole books written on, that jump. So I guess an idea behind solving the Fermi paradox is that, well, quite a scary idea, I guess, is as civilizations develop, or as complex life develops, there are certain points where it's highly likely that they just get entirely wiped out.
Yeah.
To the point where, at the point we're at, we look out and we see nothing, because not a single one has developed far enough to actually make it into the universe, which is obviously not a great thing for us to be thinking about, as that's the point we're kind of seeing ourselves at.
Yeah.
So we're just expecting some like Thanos to jump out of Warp Gate and just...
At this point, it would be mercy.
Well, I mean, that's what one thing is. What nuclear weapons are they take advantage of perfectly reasonable physical processes like fission fusion. There's no reason why...
Destructive forces.
Exactly. There's no reason. I mean, that it's the same process of stars as we've been over before, fusion bombs.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why a technologically advanced civilization wouldn't develop them. So, in that respect, is it possible that any civilization gets to a point where they develop fusion weapons, and then from then it's just a time bomb until they all nuke each other?
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a worry.
Because
got the capacity for this.
Is it reasonable to expect that a civilization becomes entirely unified and, I guess, outward-looking before it nukes itself? Even if that's possible for a whole civilization on one planet to coalesce into something without it being horrendous.
I mean, that's the question. It's certainly possible.
I feel like this episode is mainly going to be us posing questions rather than answering them.
Well, yeah, because the entire thing is we don't know. That's the
yeah. At the end of the day, we don't.
We can put out possibilities that we think. Well, yeah, it could be the case where they don't get past this stage and wipe themselves out, or before we go into great filters later on, there's several other stages where you might not be able to get past. The thing is, they have got past it, and we're just not capable of seeing them yet, which is also highly likely, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there's ideas about our perception of the universe not being enough to see them, which
or our concept of what we view as life.
I kind of doubt that because obviously the fact that we have evolved the way we are, there's no single step along the way that seems entirely unlikely.
Yeah,
because something would have to be basically impossible along the way from us going from primordial ooze to where we are now. Yeah, something would have to be astronomically unlikely for it to not happen all the time, I guess.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like the base components which sort of create our originally created like single cell life isn't that rare.
There's the theory of, I think it's called panspermia.
Right.
Have you heard of that?
No, I don't think so.
So it's like life didn't evolve on Earth originally. Basically, it
was on an asteroid. Is that?
Yeah, or like on Mars on an asteroid. It was basically it's carried around the universe. There's no kind of, I mean, obviously there is an original place where it comes from, some far nebula or whatever. But it tends to be more likely for it to be transferred between places that are sort of ripe for it, rather than evolve by itself.
Yeah.
So you'll end up with some cool enzyme or protein on an asteroid that crashes into a sea, and then the heat from that and obviously volcanic vents and stuff will start the process going.
And then it slowly changes over time,
and then you end up with anime.
My God, when you didn't think it would get any better.
But that involves combining it with a few fission bombs.
They tried that in the 40s. Still couldn't keep it down. Anime will live on. Anime will be.
Can you imagine what would have happened if we
stars before us?
Oh Jesus! So we'll reach some aliens, and I'm like, I'm so sorry.
They'll do it for us. They'll nuke us.
Just like, please, for the love of God, put us out of our misery.
How dare you? Anime's great.
Zog-chan.
Oh my God, this is so kawaii. No, alien, no.
That's
not what we wanted.
I mean, it's pretty mad thinking about it. Like, from an objective standpoint, like aliens watching us, what would they think?
What the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Why is that person in their room masturbating over a cartoon? What is going on? Where did this go wrong?
You got to assume that they're not as fucked up as we are, because we're only as fucked up as we are because of evolutionary processes.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's all just down to basically having different advantages taken of our biological.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
uselessness. Or certain biological features are getting sort of taken advantage of by different technologies and cultural aspects too, I guess.
Return to tradition.
I'm all for it.
Embrace tradition. Return to seed.
Return to seed. Doesn't sound too bad.
why is he putting that in there? I mean, that's a lot of humans would think. I think the majority of humans worldwide would probably think that as well.
Yeah. That's
worldwide and throughout history probably would think that too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if it was like aliens any more rational than we are.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you see, I do in some ways, even though I'm a big fan of science fiction, I do blame it for a lot of these kind of preconceptions that we have about, as we said last week, about AIs being entirely cold and logical and aliens being entirely cold and logical. I think it's just a bit of a kind of projection of people being autistic and writing science fiction novels.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I guess that's probably a projection of like how people see our next stage in evolution.
Well, it's what autists who write science fiction want to be like. Basically,
I don't want anybody to have emotions because I can't understand them. So, if nobody has emotions, everything's great.
Yeah, look at
women. Would be a lot easier.
They only have one penis each. Yeah, I mean,
God, envious of the aliens that we haven't even met yet.
Sam wants his eight-titted
to be sucking on my 3 penises. Yes,
monster Amazon woman.
Like alien. Yeah. Honestly, mate, sign me up. I'll go. I'll tell you, Jack. I will communicate with.
The Grand Unified 137 because of the Grand Unified Theory. I mean, I know what a Grand Unified Theory is, but I don't know what 137 is.
I'll be honest, 137 seems to be a very common number. I do pick up that I notice it an awful lot.
Oh, I've heard, what? According to... Okay, this isn't something I've heard of, often. A natural number following... Okay. The 33rd prime number. No imaginary part and no real part before 3n minus 1. Fine. Oh, that's quite interesting. Pythagorean. What? I feel like
reading this now makes
this needs some sources. I think. What could light the heart of a grand unified theory relating theory? Okay, so a grand unified theory is you're taking a kind of different parts of physics and kind of tying them together into one neat little bow. There are ways of doing it with electromagnetism and the weak force. I think were quite easy to tie together. Well, electromagnetism is obviously electrostatic stuff and magnetism tied together into one thing.
Yes.
And then you can take electroweak theory, which is another thing, with all three of them tied together. And then when you attach the strong force, you end up with the standard model, which is the sort of prevailing thing, which we have now, but that doesn't take into account gravity.
Right.
The fine structure constant. Oh, I've heard of this. It's approximately 1/137. Fine structure constant is to do with
How do you send 137 though? Because obviously that's base 10, and that's very,
well, I mean,
sort of really. Because I mean the only reason, well, I can't remember whether my history is right on this, but I'm pretty sure it's only because we've got 10 digits, isn't it?
I think that's our hypothesis, but it just makes sense. I mean, number bases are interesting because I think in some ways it makes sense to do base 12 more because it's got more factors than 10.
What if it's
or base. I mean, obviously we use binary for computers. Because,
that's typically because we're limited to transistors.
And also it makes sense for signal transmission as well.
Oh no!
But it did initially because I mean, obviously you're the electronic engineer here, so maybe
don't put me on the spot. Fuck.
Maybe I'm taking the piss or like making this up entirely. But like I thought that initially signals were so noisy that it made way more sense to do an on-off rather than a fine change in signal.
I'll be honest, I don't know the history of it, but that makes sense. Although a valve's a lot cleaner. I can't remember. I'm going way back to stuff which I've not really done too much on. But that'd make sense.
The innermost electron of an atom with Z equals 137 would be orbiting at just below the speed of light. Oh, but that doesn't include quantum mechanics, so don't care.
BTFO.
I'm not convinced by this 137 thing. I mean, obviously it turns up a lot. The Bible.
I used to live in a house which was 137. There's something to it. I'm telling you.
Cue the X-Files music.
I'm not gonna lie. Like since I was a kid, I've like noticed the number pop up like constantly.
It's following you around.
It has. Yeah, it is. Even when I saw it in Jack's chat, there was like the childish part of me went, "It's back."
I mean, like I guess pi or e, those ones. Again, because it's the number base.
It's the base, yeah. That's the difficulty that we're going to have.
I mean, pi is always going to be the ratio of the circle's diameter to its circumference.
Yeah, but the way you present it is the difficulty.
And e is always going to be. Yeah, exactly. E is going to be the function where its rate of change is proportional to itself. But that doesn't require a base to represent.
It doesn't. I know what you're saying, but like you can't just put like 3.14.
No, exactly. Like, you have to draw a circle and label.
How do you do that in radio waves?
I suppose I'm thinking more of like if you sent out a space probe, like they've done with the record disc and stuff.
I think they have done similar things to this, haven't they? Like
what was the
times capsules?
What was the package called? It was in the was it Voyager?
Yeah, I think so.
Voyager gold record. That's the one.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, this thing.
It does look pretty sick.
It does look pretty sick. I kind of want one.
Go out in space and go get it.
Well, no, I think you can get like copies with it.
That's not the same.
Yeah, this thing. It's got like pictures. I don't know what that is though. Oh, is that like a star map of the solar system?
I think so. Yeah.
Wait. So what does this say then? The upper left-hand corner is easy record drawing of the record with a stylus. Okay.
Right.
Written around in binary arithmetic is the correct time of one rotation of the record, 3.6 seconds. Expressed in time units of. Okay, so yeah, they've done it in binary. The time it takes to rotate the record at the speed at which
binary makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, I was there was the whole thing about the crazy leftists going on about 2 + 2 = 5.
Oh Jesus!
And
I sort of avoided that because I think I'd cry.
I was not happy about it, obviously, and I was talking to some guy who was like, "Well, it makes sense to teach about this sort of thing in teaching when you're trying to learn about number bases and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, no, sure, but if that's true, we could just all like count in unary to solve any confusion." Everyone just counting ones, like 111 plus 11 is 11111.
Wait. Am I missing something? How does 2 + 2 = 5?
It was like you can just like redefine what adding is and what the number 2 means, and which does happen. Like when you add matrices together, it's not the same as adding numbers together, right?
Yeah.
It's a different operation, but it's analogous. It's analogous. There's a reason why you use the symbol plus, and there's a reason why you use the symbol 2. I mean, in some gauge theories, they redefine what the symbol 2 and 3 means because it refers to like a spin singlet state or spin triplet state, rather than a number. And it's like you end up doing 2 + 2 = 4, or if you work in like different.
But those are very, very niche cases.
Exactly. It's like basically my conclusion came to be like if you redefine what 2 is and what adding is, then yes, 2 + 2 can equal 5.
Yeah, that's reasonable. But why would you? What purpose would it serve?
Because you can deconstruct everything, so nothing means anything.
But it wouldn't. That's the thing. All you've done is slapped a different number over the number 4.
Well, yeah. If you start using like
still can count it on your fingers.
What
just
is it?
Instead of when you see 4 digits, instead of the symbol before, it's 5.
You start using like modular arithmetic, where adding kind of goes around in a circle rather than getting added up. So you could end up with like 1 + 2 = 1 or something.
People have got too obsessed with getting power. That's what this seems to be.
Yeah. Yeah, the amount of "well, actually" that was going on was unbelievable. Jack's going out to get some food. All right, see you in a bit then.
That's a good idea. I might order some soon.
I've got a steak I'm going to cook after this. It's going to be lit.
I'm getting a fat ass burrito and some nachos.
I miss Go Burrito.
Mate, you're gonna have to come back up. Next
I really
year
want
now. Well, 2 years time, who knows?
Well, I mean, this current lockdown is supposed to only go on until December.
Bollocks.
Exactly, bollocks.
Yeah.
Is it fun?
Complete bollocks. Yeah, not a chance. I think Gove was on the news this morning going, yeah, it's probably going to be extended. Or political talk. It has the possibility of being extended.
I mean,
not ruling anything out.
If they do it over Christmas, I'm just going to fucking go home regardless.
Oh, yeah, so am I.
I don't give a shit.
100%. I'm going to pick my sister up, and then we're going to go back down to my parents.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to be. And
I mean, I'm probably going to. I might
try and stop people because the police will be doing the exact same.
Well,
You're not going to stop people.
They were talking about having power, giving the police powers to burst into people's houses and like arrest them for having
try it.
7 people over at Christmas dinner.
Try it. Honestly, try it. It won't go well. People will revolt.
Well, with what?
I'd lie to people.
If the police have batons and pepper spray and handcuffs and shit, what are you going to do?
There's probably still a few blacksmiths knocking about. Halberd will go.
Get him a bow and arrow. Get him a narwhal tusk.
Yeah. Narwhal tusks and fire extinguishers.
Well, this is what I was thinking actually.
One knife,
even feudal laws wouldn't have tried this. I was genuinely trying to think, like, have we ever had a king that has been more tyrannical than this democratic government?
Didn't we mention last week that there was somebody who tried a lockdown and it created it kicked something off, kicked off a revolt? Was it Cromwell?
Cromwell wasn't a king. He was
no, he wasn't a king, no.
Lord Protector.
Yeah.
He was essentially a dictator.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay. I was thinking more in terms of like leaders in general, but yeah.
No, I'm talking specifically feudal monarch.
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, people talk about bad King John, but I mean, he just took a lot of taxes and betrayed his brother, and lost the crown jewels, I guess. Like, I'm just saying, maybe
crap at his job.
maybe if we had a more powerful monarch, this sort of shit wouldn't happen.
Sorry, Granny, but stop resisting while I forcibly remove your grandchildren from the dinner table.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past Scotland or Wales.
Oh, mate, Scotland's just going to literally have a police officer outside each door. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they had the army marching down the streets of suburbs.
I mean, all I'm saying is that New Zealand is talking about setting up camps.
They are, yeah. Ardern was like, yeah, this is what we're doing. I was watching Harrian's video actually on it today. Like, them saying, yeah, if you don't have a test, we're going to keep you in until you do. It's like, if you don't do it after 14 days, well, we're going to have to force you to stay for another 14 days. Jesus Christ, you're going to have people in these camps for months. I guarantee it.
Yep.
Camps! Bloody camps! What do they think that looks like? This is why you don't give women power.
Well, they voted for it at the end of the day.
In a landslide! Oh!
They've done this to themselves.
They've done it to themselves. Jesus Christ, you used to be proud, monstrous warriors. You give the power to a woman.
The Maori. Yeah, it's surprising.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a party. I'd go with them. They're like, let's take it back. Let's go in. Like our stone clubs.
This is too much of a tangent, really, but it's interesting how the Maori seem to have been very successful compared to like Aboriginals in Australia and Native Americans in America. And
I don't know, to be honest.
They have legitimately kind of, historically speaking, kind of integrated with the Europeans who came there and kind of have become like a functioning part of society, whereas the Aborigines were treated as local fauna until the 60s. Like, Jesus. Like,
on way to put it.
No. Like legally classified as local fauna.
Fuck.
No, I'm not making that up. This is from conversations with Australians.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of hilarious, but in an awful
Oh, no,
way.
it's fucking so funny. Do you remember? I think is it fourth year at uni? I had my housemate was dating an Australian guy.
Oh yeah.
I obviously like me being me, I'd take the piss out of him all the time just for being Australian. And like, he was talking about this sort of thing, and he was saying like, oh yeah, they used to like basically take the kids off them and raise them as Christians. And I was like, well, did they have a better life? But then they used to like get in Australians on like horseback trials, so, you know, like in America, in Texas or whatever.
Yeah.
But rather than herding cattle, they'd be herding Aboriginals off cliffs.
Jesus. Apparently, according to ABC.au, this is all lies. As we all know, it's not the best for.
I look at
truth is the
Sky News.
ABC, but...
Sky News Australia seems to be pretty based. I mean, even as I said, the Maori seem to be fine. I wonder why that is. This is me purely just kind of spitballing. The Maori seem to get on well with the European overlords, whereas the Aboriginals really didn't.
Praise the mountains. Maori sick.
Yeah. They just fucking love rugby.
Yeah,
they were like, you guys are
cool in my books.
You guys have brought us the best sport ever. You're cool with us.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the haka gives me chills every time I see it. It's still so cool.
Need to have
I don't know if you've ever seen like the videos of like when they do it for like high school teachers and things, like our entire classroom, just like an entire lads thing. And obviously, because they're all just like massive into it, you can tell who are like descended from Maori, because it is just like huge jacked kids who are like 13 and better built than me, probably twice as tall. Makes you think what the women are like. Oh, there's my Amazonians. Right, I'm going to New Zealand.
He's moving to Tonga.
I'm going to Tonga. Let's go. Oil me up. I'm going in.
Christ.
I'll come out with the happiest. I'll come out in all these tribal tattoos, but genuine tribal tattoos. With the biggest smile on my face, with a big Maori broad on either side of me.
The thing is, you're going to have to get past guys who are basically just like The Rock.
Hey, we took him over at one point.
Emu War 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to ride in. Let's go, boys.
Anyway, JD's saying that they're talking about using military personnel. Yeah, I heard that.
Were they not already? I'm sure they were. I thought we were in the UK.
I think Boris actually came out and said it yesterday, like in his speech.
I'm sure we used them in the initial lockdown to help the initial surge.
I mean, at this point, it's like literally, what are you going to do if you refuse to get a test? You're going to have to fight a squaddy.
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. People, I know. I always used to rant about this in Tweet Patrol episodes when we did that, but it's like people do not have foresight. They cannot see how this affects them badly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, you might agree with lockdown, and if you do, fair enough. I think it's overkill, but you cannot understand that it's like once you've given them these powers, you've set a precedent.
Well, yeah.
So it's like as soon as something comes up which you don't like, and then you're forced to do it, well, how are you going to feel then? Jesus.
Well, I've said before, income tax was a temporary measure to fight Napoleon in the early 1800s. And look where we are now.
Disgusting.
Disgusting.
Honduras, here we come.
Yeah, I want my free private city. I mean, I saw one alternative to Prospera, which is another company. So Prospera is the Honduran free private city thing.
Yeah.
And there's another company called something like Sea Cities, where they want to build like floating communities, but which are of the same model where they're free to join. Well, not free to join, as in you have to pay to join.
Like a floating citadel.
Pretty much. I'm like, this is brilliant. This is what I want. I want to be a fucking pirate. It's like, yo ho, drink up me hearties.
Yeah, fantastic.
I'm happy to impose a special 80% tax for the next 5 years on the people who demand a lockdown.
Yeah, I'm for that too. Go for it. Sovereign.
Well, that's anti-equality though. You can't have that.
Oh, I'm so disillusioned with equality now.
It's the majority rule. Yeah.
Honestly, like, I don't know how you can view equality as a good thing anymore. Besides equality before the law, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
Should communists have equality before the law?
if the law says they should be put up against the wall,
I mean, this is something that I kind of talked about with Matthias a few weeks ago when you were ill. Like, equality before the law is a nice idea, and it's the idea that the law should treat every man as equal, every woman as equal. Like, you shouldn't just look at you and go, "I don't like you. I'm going to give you an extra 10 years in jail."
Yeah.
It should be impartial, and I think, how did he phrase it? It was something like, "The law is every man's property," is a better way of thinking about it. Which I thought was interesting. But yeah, the idea, I mean, realistically, it doesn't really exist. Equality before the law. Not everyone can afford the best lawyers.
No, it doesn't.
Like, if it existed, then we wouldn't need lawyers.
True.
Like, lawyers wouldn't exist.
It's not a bad thing.
If it was as cut and dry as, you've disobeyed the law, you haven't, then we wouldn't need courts.
Yes. Yeah. No. You are quite correct.
So
yeah, full ANCAP society.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's my objection to full on ANCAPistan is that I think I'm just too British. Like, I do enjoy.
I fail to see how you have a nation state under.
I do. Well, it's more. I can see it happening as like if you're setting up your own like fresh society from scratch.
Yeah. I can
rather than taking an existing one and turning it into ANCAPistan, I don't see how that would work.
No, I don't think you can.
Yeah, like the best we can do, as in the UK, I guess, for example, would be some sort of minicus thing where we have a small state that does very little. It's going to be hard to privatize police in the UK. I mean, privatizing healthcare is one thing.
Well, it's going to go one or two ways after all this. It's either everyone's going to look at the NHS and go, "Jesus Christ, yeah, we are shit," and get rid. Or they're going to go, no, put more money into it. This just shows how much more money we need to put into it. Take it all from those rich bastards. No, whoa, no, what are you doing? Not me. Not me. them over there. Those who've actually been successful.
The rich bastards have gone to Monaco. Oh.
Fucking hell, I'd love to live in Monaco.
Well, it's a strict immigration system, and you have to...
I'm white, I'll be fine.
Can you imagine you going into some Monaco casino, some like high class place, turning up in your Lamborghini, just walking up to some
lads,
like beautiful Spanish woman at the bar in a cocktail dress and being like, "Hey up,
I'll do." This is what I've been learning salsa for. That's my moment to shine them. Just take them by the hand and woo them.
Pint of John Smith's, please.
Part of bodies. John Smith's too much for me.
Private law society over in Pakistan. Yeah, I mean, I used to think that.
Is this hot now?
Yeah. Private law society is like the free private city example. Like, you pay to join, and you pay to receive something from whoever's owning it. It's some sort of insurance kind of thing. Right. And you have to abide by the laws of it, otherwise you can just be yeeted. And that's the contract you sign, the sort of covenant that you sign in blood to be allowed to own property there. I used to think that it was kind of like a more extreme version of AGAPF, but the more I think about it, the more AGAPF feels more extreme.
Yeah.
Because obviously there is some sort of law and order in the private law society one, but it's just privatized.
Terms and conditions.
It's privatized,
Something that you won't read, and you'll just tick and just, oh shit.
Well, in that case, it's your own
child.
Well, in that case, it's your own fucking fault.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. No, I'm saying, yeah, it's true, but that's how it'll be.
But the idea that you wouldn't carefully read the terms and conditions before signing away your life to live somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you'd have to be pretty bloody dumb.
I don't think anyone who's pretty bloody dumb would want to go and leave their nice, comfortable welfare state to go and live in a private law society.
Oh yeah, no, they wouldn't. Of course they wouldn't.
It would only be people who would actually want to, like, I guess, make something of themselves. I don't know.
Jesus Christ, this coffee's fucking vile.
Is it just an instant?
Yeah, I mean it's like Nescafe Gold or something, but it's usually all right. But I think I put too much in it. And
Yeah, I was
whiskey.
I was gonna make a cup of tea, then I realized I went shopping earlier and forgot to get milk. So sad times. No tea for Joes. Should we get back to?
Oh yeah, aliens. That's why we're
here. I mean, as I said, this one's going to be quite a chill one.
Yeah, I have no idea what we're on about.
I haven't got as much to talk about here. This is pure conjecture and kind of on the fly researching.
To be honest, this is just again. There's nothing like unless we go like full conspiracy theory of like, oh my god, the Tic Tac that flew over Florida, or whatever it is.
That's a good one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Rogan did an interview with the pilot.
I think he did actually.
I haven't
mentioned it on the Alex Jones.
Yeah, I didn't realize he had. That's the thing with Rogan is that he puts the name of the person. If you don't know who it is, then you don't know.
Yeah, to watch just skip over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I wish he'd do a description or something that was obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, I might go back and watch that one because that would be interesting. But...
You don't need milk for tea.
It depends on the tea.
It does depend on the tea. I just have your regular Yorkshire tea. You don't need milk
tea. You can get away with it. Yeah, you don't need.
I don't tend to have sugar. If I'm really hungover, I might have honey or something if I want it sweeter.
Jesus.
But I'm not going to have sugar.
No, I never have. Yeah, I only drink tea. To be honest, I typically drink green teas if I'm drinking it. But
that's gay as fuck.
Green tea is fucking delicious. Do not dare.
That's unbelievably homosexual.
Tell that to my ovaries.
You're drinking fucking compost.
I mean, to be honest, though, it does taste like I am drinking compost now because I'm just drinking. I only have drink coffee black, no sugar, so it is just like the most bitter shit I've ever had.
I mean, depends on if I have mine out of like a machine at work, I will put some milk in it because otherwise it's disgusting. But if I have it from like because we sometimes do like ground coffee at work as well, so I'll have that black. People were
I can't stand milk. It tastes disgusting.
People were helicoptering me because I posted a picture of my coffee at work and it looked disgusting. It was out of a machine, like a pod.
Oh right. Yeah.
People were just like, get the fuck out. We don't want to associate with you. We don't want anything to do with you. That's funny. This is an interesting question though. Would the aliens be economically literate? Because like, well, you think that. I mean, again, this is probably something for Jack to talk about. But the ideas behind a lot of economics is that they are just kind of inherent to human nature.
So they don't have the same nature as us.
So you would have thought that certain rules, like, because this is something that I think the more Austrian kind of type of economists talk about is that, for example, they start with basic axioms like, I don't know, a human or a man prefers to have more of a thing he values than less of a thing he values, say.
Yeah.
Those sort of things are kind of, you can't really argue with that.
No, but if you talk about an alien, well, first off, going back to that, what are the values based off of? Surely they're based off of our biology, which is billions of years of our evolution, is what I would assume.
Yes. And there's stuff that Hopper talks about, like time preference. In the a man will prefer, if you're offering him, I don't know, £100 now or £100 in a week, he would choose the £100 now.
Yeah.
So that means that implies that the time has a cost.
But again, I'd say that's biological and based off of evolution.
And you would expect that if aliens have also evolved for billions of years.
But if they've evolved for billions of years more, would their economics change? Again, I am being pedantic, but it's like
yeah. No, it's
you know what the point I'm trying to get at is. It's like if they've not evolved along the same lines that we have, if they've gone like an alternative route to get to a similar point.
Okay, well, what route would you have to go? What route would you have to go down to value having less of a thing that you value, or to prefer to have less of a thing that you value? Some sort of anti-materialist stance, like a Buddhist monk. I don't know.
I mean, it could do.
But then that changes what you value, doesn't it?
Yeah, it depends on what the. Again, I guess our biological impulses is to keep us alive. But
well, exactly, yeah, and this is something that
to get us to that point. It's very broad generalization. If they don't breed in the same way that we do, or they don't reproduce, or they are in some way immortal, then their inclination to pursue different things won't be there.
The idea that you will have, I mean, obviously you will initially have different factions of a civilization forming. There's no way that a civilization a global civilization can come to pass on a sort of low tech level.
Yeah.
Unless you have some sort of avatar, like what is it, the tree that goes around the planet where everyone can talk, like that sort of shit.
Yggdrasil or whatever it was.
Yeah.
There's like a synonym for Yggdrasil, but yeah.
Like that's sort of like there could be some biological mechanism where you can talk to something on the other side of the planet, but it's always going to start low level.
Yeah, it has to work its way up.
Sort of at a tribal level, or what we assume to be a tribal level, like an area of land with some organisms in it. And at that point, you're going to end up with competing factions, aren't you? Even because on an individual level, we still compete for resources, for whatever.
Yeah, but again, I guess that's a natural impulse. Because that's the way we found it to be.
I mean, that's true. That is true.
They could find it through compassion. I think there was a.
I wouldn't say compassion. I mean, I'm thinking about like ants and bees who don't give a shit about the individual. It's just the hive colony that matters.
Okay, Zerg.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Get the fucking bugs from Starship Troopers.
I was thinking more StarCraft. I want Protoss. I want psychic aliens.
I don't think we do, for our own sakes.
we did pretty well in that war. We were friends with them once for the most part.
I know nothing about StarCraft. I know nothing about StarCraft. I'm neither Korean nor a virgin.
I have been both.
You've been Korean.
Mm-hmm.
Were you that good? Were you that good at StarCraft? That good at StarCraft? You just become Korean.
Basically, God. Yeah. Gold was also known as 4-year-old Korean. It's about that level.
Yeah.
Honorary Korean.
All I know about literally that's all I know about StarCraft is that they have rip-off Space Marines and that Koreans are good at it.
Space Marines and alien bugs and psychic aliens.
I heard it was kind of like 40k, but just
a bit,
diluted to all hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Zerg look a bit like, is it the Tyranids?
Yeah,
something like that. Looks slightly like that, and I can't think of what the psychic aliens would be. Similar to...
Well, the Eldar.
Yeah, probably them.
Yeah, I mean, sort of elf things. Kind of this sort of thing.
Somewhat. They look a bit more alien if you search Protoss.
Protoss. That's a bike helmet. Right. Oh, okay. That's kind of Eldar. Yeah, no, I see that. It fits that archetype anyway.
Yeah. Basically the same.
Yeah, as I said, 40k to StarCraft seems like a bit of a rip-off.
That's Blizzard, isn't it? I mean,
true.
All WoW was basically a rip-off of...
I mean, Stellaris is direct. Stellaris is directly ripping off 40k at the moment with the Necroids. Yeah, literally. This is a DLC. It's to have these guys, which I
did see the DLC. Yeah,
they're just Necrons, like, which is so funny. Oh, you didn't need to get food in the end. So Jack,
we'll be honest, you've missed nothing.
No, JD's very interesting question is: would aliens be economically literate? And we're basically saying, I was basically saying, like, we take certain laws of economics to be axiomatic to humans, but they still apply to an alien species. So as I said, like something like a person would prefer to have more of a thing they value than less of a thing they value. That sort of thing.
I'm saying that's based off of biology.
Possibly, but so are aliens. If it was some
our evolutionary biology, so sort of like our evolution,
some sort of AI. I mean, this is kind of what I was thinking after last week, was that an AI, a sort of super intelligent AI, may be more alien to us than actual aliens.
Yeah, possibly.
Because it hasn't had the same evolutionary process. And there are certain things, like as a competition between individuals, competition between groups, is not a thing that an AI really experiences.
No.
I mean, this is something that, what's he called? Robin Hanson talks about in this section. So this is the initial essay that Robin Hanson, this guy, wrote. I'm not going to read it all because it's, as you can see, it's just like a wall of text. This is the first time that the term great filter was kind of popularized. So a great filter is a step that you have to take that we have to assume to be very unlikely, because obviously we don't see any aliens.
Yeah.
So
like cut-off points.
Yeah. The sort of hurdles you have to get over, basically, and that we must assume that everyone has failed at least one of them so far. So there were some parts of this which I thought were really interesting that he talks about. Colonization has been a constant experience with life on Earth over the long run. Let's go zoom in slightly. And our best understanding of human social systems suggests this will continue. Not just humans, because obviously all life on Earth seems to have some sort of tendency to expand outwards.
No, just the whites.
No, it's just white humans. Specifically white male humans.
This is what the media is telling me. I'm just regurgitating.
It's specifically straight white male humans, yes. Alien third positionists. So I guess that kind of puts credence towards the idea that these are not just this kind of instinct to keep going and expand and acquire resources isn't just a human thing. It's the thing that's inherent to life because we see it everywhere.
Yeah.
While humans evolve within complex co-evolving organizational, cultural, mimetic, and genetic structures, all these systems show long-term tendencies to make use of reproductively useful resources. Makes sense? So even within things like memes and, I mean, the sort of cultural phenomenon of memes, not the, like, stupid pictures. I guess that the Richard Dawkins...
Stupid?
Richard Dawkins idea. So, I mean, this paragraph is interesting too. So he basically says that at some point you would expect this to kind of coalesce into a society, or whether it's us or an alien civilization, getting to the point where evolutionary pressure, that it's not just evolutionary between species or individuals, that's between different factions, whatever. So like the United States, Russia, whatever, they have to compete to be the most efficient possible. You would expect them at that point to start expanding outwards at basically the speed of light. Otherwise, they're going to be left behind. If you basically fast forwards, at that point, he calls a sort of explosion point. So what was he saying here again? So he uses the example of the sort of. It's interesting that he comes across the sort of consumer meme 20 plus years ago, where he talks about navel-gazing virtual reality addicts. But even then, he says, well, they're going to want more mass and energy to build and run better computers. What do we think of that? Even if you are like...
Quantum is on its way.
Even if you are content to sit in your room, smoke weed, and play video games, you're going to need more weed eventually. You're going to need better computer eventually.
It's true.
What's Jack saying? Aliens would need to be intelligent enough to develop barter and private property in order to get free market capitalism. Unintelligent alien life that follows the same needs for scarce resources would likely follow the same method for distribution seen widely in the animal kingdom, i.e. scavenging. Yeah, so to get to any sort of civilization, you need private property, is the conclusion there. Because communism doesn't seem to work. A day to disagree with me there. Fucking dare you.
No. I agree. On Earth, between humans, that it doesn't work. But it could be feasible that they evolve, like on different planets, they evolve to be cooperative rather than competitive.
I guess we are talking the ant hill.
This is purely like hive mind completely. Again, purely theoretical.
Literally, yeah. So you're saying literally individuals don't matter.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, they are entirely a collective.
I guess at that point, would is it fair to say that only works because ants and bees and whatever are so their brains are so primitive
so
that
simple.
they just act as nodes for the bigger thing, right?
Yeah.
Termites and that. I mean, termite cathedrals are incredible. Like with the inside, have you seen the pictures of them? Where they they dig up a termite mound.
I think I've seen the ones where they pour like liquid aluminium in.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I've seen the termite mounds are enormous. They are like, that's compared to a fucking cheetah there. They're literally like cathedrals on the inside. They're insane. I saw one that was like this sort of thing compared to a human. They are unbelievably complex on the inside as well. So there's something going on there that we may not understand. I would put that down to a sort of spontaneous order. I mean, it's not even that ordered. Like I was talking about last week with the cellular automata. What's it called? The game of life thing. That you have some very, very simple things going on, but that produces a spontaneous order that we can recognize.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was.
Conway's Game of Life.
That's the one.
Yeah. So you don't need complexity. You don't need like excessive complexity for that to come to pass. Getting crazy things like termite mines and whatever. Mm-hmm. But in order for any sort of, I guess. So what we're saying, we want like cyber termites that can get into space and use up all the resources.
I would say want.
or that they have the ability to. So what we've already established that for humans, I mean, we did our two-parter episode a few weeks ago. For humans, we kind of need to establish, all these things like land grants and property rights and stuff in space. Is that true of some sort of insane termite species?
Not necessarily, because private property wouldn't exist if you just got a single mind controlling it. I guess you wouldn't need it. That wouldn't even be a concept which exists.
But again, because it's just, but then you'd have different termite mounds would be classed as individuals then, I suppose.
Unless you have one. I guess you could have like varying levels of complexity and have it.
That's the same as saying, if you had like one overlord of humanity, like a god emperor, say, then it would all be fine.
Two more days and he'll be reestablished.
I cannot believe. On a side note, I cannot believe how quickly the American elections come around. I still thought it was like a month away the other day.
Same, yeah. To be honest, I was like, oh yeah, that's the start of November. Wait, shit, that's in 2 days.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm not gonna lie, my anus is tense.
Another side note: have you seen the speech a while ago? Is Mike Pence's speech to start off the Space Force, and someone dubbed the Halo theme tune over the top of it.
I've not seen that, no.
It works so. I'm gonna send it to you. I'll send it to you afterwards, but I can't play it because of the lack of. It'll probably get me in trouble, and/or probably won't play the sound anyway. It's so fucking good though; it fits so well. So I guess what you'd have is, rather than individuals having to establish property rights, you'd end up with different, I guess, termite mounds having to establish property rights between themselves. Jack says it's interesting that including everything in the universe that consumes scarce resources down to the smallest molecules, humans are the only thing we're aware of that uses private property. Seems true. I mean,
could you argue that we're also the only things which are cognizant? Well, I guess actually no, with animals.
I would. Well, private property is a very
It's a construct.
It's a social construct.
It's a social construct. Well, ironically, it sort of is.
It seems to be one that works, though. I mean, it's inherent. Okay, it's inherent to human nature that it is in human nature to claim things and defend them.
Yeah, I guess that, in a way, maybe I'm wrong in saying that animals don't have that because they have their own territories.
True.
So
dogs will piss on things and they will defend the territory.
Yeah. Or like the termite mounds. I guess
true.
They
will defend it from. I've seen that there's battles between ants and wasps and stuff. That
I've seen ants versus wasps.
Yeah.
There's an entire YouTube channel dedicated to that. There's one which do not watch it because it's the most disgusting thing that I've ever heard. I've seen. It's a crab versus a leech. And it's disgusting. Don't do it.
Oh, I see what Jack means. Yeah, it's something that being possessed by something. So possession of something backed up by force, but that's not just I have a gun, therefore you're not going to take my stuff. It's society recognizes that, and you don't need the gun because everyone recognizes it. Termites are actually secret hardcore ANCAPs who have just nailed spontaneous order down to a T. Termites made communism work. The only way to get communism to work is to have a high.
I could unironically convince some Twitter commies that was the thing. You just start seeing the worship termites. Which unironically isn't a bad analogy.
Well, that's what the bugs in Starship Troopers were. They were analogous to communists.
Yeah. Oh, well, okay.
I meant them to be.
I've still not watched it. No, read it.
Oh, you need to.
I know. I every time I go to Waterstones, I'm like, is it there? No.
It's probably a banned book at this point.
The Moon's a Harsh Mistress is there, but
I'll get that one. That sounds good, I reckon.
I will. Honestly, I've got like a backlog of like 6 or 7 books.
I'm
reading The Snowball, that Warren Buffett one still. Should finish that this week. And then what else? What was I going to start reading? I think I'm going to start reading June after that.
Nice. Human action.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying is that it gets to the point where society recognizes that property rights exist and you don't need the gun to defend it because everyone recognizes it. And as soon as that breaks down, I suppose you need the gun again, which is why America has a Second Amendment.
Beautiful. Where's ours?
Well, we lost it.
Now.
We lost it 100 or so years ago. I've said this before. Britain used to have 0 gun laws until like late Victorian times. You could buy a Navy.
Times were great.
You could buy a Navy destroyer if you wanted. Never mind.
Cool.
Never mind. Just like pleading for a bump stock. It's like, no, I'm buying a puckle gun and a fucking mortar.
Try and stop me.
Exactly.
Why can't just go back to those days?
A gentleman
should... Technology. Technology is gay.
All right, Evola. Return to tradition.
Exactly.
Sam's you're gonna become an Amish.
I'm going to go one step further. I'm just going to go dig a hole and live in that.
Fucking, he's going to Anprim.
Beautiful.
I bet it was Disraeli who introduced. Oh, I don't know actually, because I actually looked this up not that long ago because I was talking to some British nationalists who wanted like extreme regulation, and I was like, well, it's not really part of British history, is it? I don't know though. I actually want to look that up. Wait. Gun. This is again on a tangent. Gun legislation. UK. Firearms regulation. Dunblane was the big one. Well, we got rid of handguns, but again, that was 96. Everyone could buy handguns until 96.
Could we?
There have been only 4 mass shootings carried out by a civilian in the entire history of Great Britain. So that's America in a week. Hang on. So I want history though. I swear I looked this up as well. Northern Ireland. Just I don't trust them with anything. Okay.
Enough when you don't give them guns.
Elizabeth I banned possession of wheel-lock pistols near the royal palace in 1594.
So that's like near the palace, isn't it? So that's not like
you
just can't own them. You just not
like
near the palace.
James I. So the Bill of Rights restated the ancient rights of people to bear arms that had been dismantled by James II. So I mean, he was a Catholic, so don't care about him.
Cook.
Followed closely by the Declaration of Rights. Yep. Protestants may have arms for their defense. Ha! Based. Only Protestants.
Something like Catholics.
That makes sense. Jacobite rebellions. Okay, yeah, disarm the Highlands of Scotland.
That's reasonable.
The first British firearm controls were introduced as part of the Vagrancy Act of 1824. Large numbers of people roaming the country with weapons brought back from the Napoleonic Wars.
I'm just imagining just like guys just wandering around with like 2 rifles.
Yeah, it allowed the police to arrest any person with a gun, pistol, sword, cutlass, bludgeon, or other offensive weapon with intent to commit a felonious act. So this is early 1800s. So the gun licensing was only brought in 1870. Yeah.
Gladstone apparently gone.
I thought. So Jack, you're not a Gladstonian liberal anymore, are you? And then it was 1903 when the first restriction on wait, hang on. The Pistols Act of 1903 was the first to place restriction on the sale of firearms. Right. Okay. Yeah. 1903. First restriction on the sale of firearms. So not owning one or carrying one, it's the sale of it was first introduced in 1903. So that's 100 and a bit years ago.
Right. God,
well, I mean, you look at any movies of set in those times, and everyone's armed everywhere. Like Sherlock Holmes, Peaky Blinders, like all of those. Like there's the 2 examples off the top of my head. Like a gentleman should be armed was the prevailing thought around then. I mean, if you see
I would never step foot in London, but
well, they're not gentlemen, are they?
Nor are the unarmed.
True. Yeah.
Even now.
Well, that's because they steal them from the countryside around London. Because have you heard that? Literally, like I heard this from 2 separate friends. One who's like into grime, and one who knows a lot of farmers. 2 ends of the
very different friends.
2 ends of the spectrum. I know. Both from school, actually.
Jesus.
But they both independently said that there's like gangs of like black kids from London basically go out into the countryside and steal guns from farmers, and like break into farms and steal their shotguns and shit.
I mean, I guess that's the source of it. So
it's more like arms dealers that go and then sell them in London.
Yeah.
Fucking Irish. It's always the bloody Irish. Jeez. So yeah, again, it's the first. Yeah, the sale of firearms was only restricted from 1903. So, yeah, that was it. Again, another tangent. We were talking termites, weren't we?
Aliens or something. What's this episode?
So, does private property rights apply to
ghosts?
Ghosts. Jeez, I'm not touching that.
You can't. That's the point.
Wait, can't touch it. So actually, Disraeli was, I think, defending the right of the Englishmen to bear arms. That's what we can see, Jack. Because suddenly I'm a One Nation Tory.
Shit.
What was I going to say? Yeah, okay. So we kind of established that basically we would need anything that's going to reach that explosion point that I mentioned is going to have to, through some sort of evolutionary pressure, make the best use of its scarce resources.
Yeah.
And we hypothesized that the best way to do that is through establishing property rights.
Market competition.
Etc. Yeah. I mean, as we say, animals do have territory, which, I mean, so it's, I don't know, this is me, again, just making shit up, but on the, say, African savanna, right? if two prides of lions have different, if two prides of lions have different territories, do they recognize that they shouldn't go in there as a sort of gentleman's rule, or is it because they know they're going to get killed if they do?
Bit of both, possibly.
Yeah. There's nothing to suggest that private property is required for alien life. Most life doesn't use it, but private property is a prerequisite for large-scale civilizations.
Yeah, it's difficult to see how they'd make it out into space if they didn't have some sort of civilization, which, from our point of view, does seem the private way.
Or if you had like some sort of termite planet. I'm literally talking about the bugs from Starship Troopers at this point. I think they get into space by just like spitting each other into orbit, which seems a bit.
I just like to think, what was the first bug that did that? Right, get in my mouth. What? No, just trust me. Get in my mouth.
So, do trust me, yeah.
Burns up on its way out. Got to land somewhere.
I guess that point is important. That you would need it for some sort of civilization. I guess this all stems from JD's question of would aliens be economically literate? Which I guess we've concluded yes.
Well, it depends on what type of aliens we're talking about. If we talk about aliens which just exist on a random planet, like sort of we do now, then no, not necessarily. But if they're looking towards the stars and hoping to create civilizations out there, I think what we've sort of got to is that yes, that's probably the case that we need to. But I don't know. Aliens spitting each other out could also happen. Don't need markets for that.
I mean, we laughed at Poseidism, I think, which is the mad communist ideology where they believe that all aliens must be communist because communism is the only way to get this, which is basically we're doing like the inverse of that. We're saying all aliens must be capitalists.
Yeah. Well, we are saying it could happen through communism, but probably not. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is this sort of argument, isn't it? The more things there are to centrally distribute, the harder it becomes to achieve. If you have multiple, and you're going to need a lot of resources of different types to create a spacefaring civilization. And obviously, as we said before, the further out you get, I mean, I said that after this explosion point, you're traveling out at the speed of light, pretty much. You are going to obviously be getting very far apart from your competitors. But obviously, you don't want to see them speeding ahead of you. So it's much harder to centrally plan that, I guess.
Yeah.
You can't centrally plan something that's expanding that rapidly. What if all aliens are Catholic? Sorry, have we got a Catholic in the chat? Do we need to get the flamethrower out? It sounds like the plot of 40K. I mean, are they Catholic? Like, is it based on Catholicism or?
I'll be honest, I'm not that deep into the law.
Because the architecture is kind of Gothic, which points me towards.
Possibly.
It's not really classical in the way that. I mean, this is from my very, very limited knowledge of architecture. It's not really kind of Catholic-ish. I mean, I guess it kind of looks like a lot of the spaceships look like the Milanese cathedrals, but it kind of reminds me more of German and English.
Is the God Emperor sort of seen as a prophet in a way?
Oh yeah. I mean, he was originally a sort of cringe atheist hipster, where he basically wanted the cult of science and wanted to eradicate all religion. And then when he was and then he was basically sealed in the Golden Throne. And after 10,000 years, his priests and their descendants basically turned it into a religion around him. So he they got the last laugh. Religion got the last laugh there, I guess.
Fair. I wouldn't mind being a deity.
A lot of responsibility.
No, not really. If anybody starts talking smack, lightning bolt.
It's aliens arrive. Okay, you got me fucked. I've been reading what you said on Twitter. Oh, we've got like cyber Pinochet coming out of the sky. Yeah.
Like spaceship.
Well, maybe though,
Realised like
maybe
comics
Jesus was an alien, or was brought back to life by aliens.
Yeah, perfectly reasonable.
If Jesus was an alien, then that might some of the Catholic symbology may have come from.
Well, you've all seen the UFO, and is it the? Oh, I can't remember what painting it is. Something
Sorry?
about Madonna. These like these supposedly spaceships in some like.
Well, I mean, if you look at a lot of the Mayan and Egyptian art has more likely.
Yeah. This is like a couple of Renaissance pieces which people point to, but yeah, I think hieroglyphics have got like helicopters in and spacemen, things like that.
I think some of the I was driving O-Wine. I was driving some of the Foundation guys mental, saying that the pyramids were built by aliens, and they're like architecture nerds, and they were like, no,
how dare you?
I mean, they made some compelling arguments, but I would just be a dick. Oh God, here is Jack pushing his
what's going on there?
his religion. The more advanced the civilization, likely the more nihilist they become, assuming they don't discover something white pilling that we have missed. Yes, if they discovered God,
what if they become the Uber? What if they're Ubermensch?
This leaves two options of stern atheism or fanatic religious dogma as a cope. I mean, we're seeing this is what we're seeing at the moment. I guess stern atheism is your stoic alternative.
I know which one I prefer.
Well, ideally, yeah. I mean, let's not. I think it's all too realistic. The fanatic religious dogma as a cope.
Yeah, especially the last couple of weeks.
Oh God, it's gonna get worse.
Oh yeah, it certainly is.
This week feels a little bit historic, I think.
An awful lot has happened. I think you're probably right that people are going to look back on this week and go, yeah. Why didn't they realise that this was going to go this way then? Why didn't they try to stop it? It's like
Civil War.
There's 5 of us in this live stream that were terrified and talking about it. We were doing our bit.
Why is I'm getting fucking Latin in the chat now.
Jesus Christ, what's going on? I haven't got a clue.
I'm just saying if that's any sort of prayer that I recognise.
Jesus.
Ave Gratia, I don't know what that means, yeah. Nazism and socialism, as bad as they are, prove that zealous atheism are certainly an option. Well, I guess it depends if you are defining a religion to just be any ideology. I guess you're valuing something greater than the material.
Yeah.
The cult of reason was state enforced. Well, that was the fucking French.
What's the cult of reason?
It's the thing that kind of came in after the French Revolution.
Right.
They basically, because they wanted to eradicate religion and just have pure reason. It's the original Fedora atheism.
Jesus. Right.
Yeah, it's French. Like all bad ideas.
Disgusting.
Well, it's the reason why the metric system came out of France and that sort of thing. Yeah, this fucking thing. After holding sway for barely a year, it was officially replaced by the rival cult of the Supreme Being, promoted by Robespierre. Both were banned by Napoleon.
Like the original Illuminati.
No, I think this is just them kind of realizing they've abolished a system that's been around for thousands of years not thousands of years, but a while for a reason. I'm thinking like, shit, what do we do now? People need something to keep them going.
God is dead and we have killed him.
Well, and then Napoleon came along and banned them.
No.
Yeah, opposition to the Catholic Church. This is the thing we could talk about, actually. A Nazi alien society that got so black-pilled and nihilistic by the nature of reality that they just became numb to anything except their own quest for dominance. sort of psychotic aliens who want to wipe out everything in the sky.
It's pretty badass.
How would you do that though? As a
How would
civilization,
it-
how would you nuke every planet in the galaxy?
Drive-bys.
I guess
Are you looking for
it's inspiration.
a feasibility study here?
It's an idea that I watched a while ago on I think it was AGAPF's channel.
Not well.
Who
Oof.
like laissez-faire.
Oof.
All bad ideas are French, but not all French ideas are bad. That's all I'm saying.
Sweet save.
I'm thinking like the cricket. Have you heard? You Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Nope. Not a clue. I'm aware of it. I know it exists, but not.
What? Oh my god! Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a massive part of my childhood. It's so fucking good.
I didn't have one. I was a Harry Potter kid, and what was it? Darren Shan's Demonata.
That was pretty. That was pretty good, to be fair.
That was really good. I absolutely loved that series. Absolutely devastating. They could never make a show of it because it was just so gruesome. Like the first scene is like him walking into his bedroom and his mum, dad, and sister just strewn across the room. Fucking amazing. Yeah. I could imagine an incredible I think it'd be like an Amazon Prime series, but like a proper 18+ version. That'd be amazing.
If they went further with Hitchhikers, so I guess have you seen the movie?
No.
Okay, well,
I don't watch movies.
It's so fucking good though. Get the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy omnibus. There's like a load of books in one.
There's so much stuff I'm trying to read.
It's so fucking good though. It should be top of your list.
You'd say this every time you suggest something. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Fucking space gypsies. There's a race of aliens in it who it's a whole meme about cricket basically because it's so British, the book,
right?
And basically these aliens they live in their star and their planet is in a sort of dust cloud. Mm-hmm. There's no other planets. It's just this one planet ordering this one star inside a dust cloud. So they can't see any other stars.
Right.
So as far as they're aware, there's no such thing as the universe. There's nothing in the sky for them to look at ever, so they don't even bother looking upwards. They've got no reason to look up ever. So they just they have this sort of cutesy twee society, where they just kind of exist and are all quite happy. And then at some point, this spaceship comes through the dust cloud and crash lands on the planet.
Right.
Obviously, which kind of blows their whole worldview out of the window, which they've always had throughout their entire evolutionary history. So they kind of freak out. They reverse engineer the spaceship. They build their own spaceship. They fly out, and there's this scene where they're in the spaceship, they're traveling through the dust cloud, and then suddenly they reach the other side, and they can just see all these stars and galaxies and everything out in front of them. And their first response is got to go because they can't handle it, kind of contradicting their whole worldview. So they literally they conclude that they have to just destroy everything. So they kind of
Jesus
transform from this sort of calm, nice, chill species who just want to stay on their planet and play this game called cricket. And they transform into this genocidal, insane, but still kind of calm and twee civilization with these murderous death robots and
genocide in Tweed is what you're saying.
Literally, they just drop out of fucking hyperspace and nuke a whole planet and then leave. That kind of and then they have these robots that basically look like cricket players, and they obviously that leads into it being a British meme. But yeah, it's quite funny. If Sam needs to play CK2, he can install the mods. You can just ask him.
Yeah, we'll do. I think I've still got quite a few of them when you played on the laptop.
That's true, because I played on Sam's laptop a while ago, so we probably already have them installed.
Yeah, so probably a month ago. I'll have to update.
We may have 1 or 2 new ones this week.
All right. Well, after this, if you stay on, you can point me in the right direction.
Yeah, I will do.
10 minutes.
What was I saying? Yeah, so genocidal aliens has been an idea in kind of fiction. But whether or not it's feasible to actually travel the length of the galaxy, wiping out planets one after the other.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it's 100 billion light years long. So that will take you 100 million years if you're traveling at the speed of light. So presumably a little bit more.
I've got to get warp drives going. Wormholes.
Fuck. That's one whole episode. That's one whole episode that I'll probably spend a while ranting about because I'm not convinced.
I'll convince
you. Yeah, go on.
Go on.
Try it.
Sod your 4 years of physics masters. I'm doing 2 hours of research before the episode.
Fucking try it, mate.
Come at me, bro. The false science.
So the idea that I heard basically is you don't obviously take fleets and whatever, because realistically, if you have a spacefaring civilization, it doesn't even have to be a very big one. You just have some sort of fusion drive or some sort of laser pushing mechanism to push spaceships along. You can reach ridiculous speeds, and if you have like a thing that weighs quite a lot moving at a ridiculous speed, if you just build up enough kinetic energy, you can crack a planet open like relatively easily.
Yeah.
So what you do
in The Last Jedi.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So you have
never make a Last Jedi reference again.
So what you do is you just translate a lot of your mass into kinetic kill missiles that you just shoot out one after the other at every planet or where that you kind of calculate where that planet's going to be in a million years. But you start sending them out the first one you send out relatively slowly, but obviously with still enough speed to crack the planet. And then you send the next one slightly faster and the next one slightly faster. So at the end of the day, they all hit at the same time.
That's pretty cool. Obviously horrible for the people who are living on that planet.
So you basically end up nuking every star in the sky, or every planet in the sky at the same time, but obviously in a million or whatever years.
Just one time, civilizations just repeated itself several times over, so they've forgotten that we did all this. And just all of a sudden stars just start popping in the night sky.
Well, yeah, I guess it would be planets rather than stars.
Could you hit yourself?
I guess what if you fired like backwards along your orbital path?
Yeah. Just like, we're going to end up at that spot.
The amount of energy to do that would be unbelievable. You have to reverse your entire galactic orbit.
Well, we could just assume, like, I predict that the communists are going to take over. This will be at this point in time. If we aim for that spot there,
yeah,
we can help them along and destroy it completely.
That's interesting. I mean, the idea of having some sort of genocidal alien that wipes out anyone that gets to a certain level of technology could be an example of a solution to this Fermi paradox.
A final solution, perhaps.
Final solution to the technologically advanced person. Yeah. I guess another one is that we are literally just the first ones to arrive.
Or the last.
Jesus. Which is more scary. Which is worse.
Oh, genuinely, yeah. It's like, are we the ones who are expected to kick all this off, or are we just going to be the ones that just go around looking at graveyards for the rest of our civilization? Because that's the other thing. The reason that we can't see anything is because everything's so past its sell-by date that it's all just beyond fucked.
Yeah, the real heyday of the universe was when it was like 6 billion years old, not 13 and a bit.
Yeah, it's an old man now.
I guess at that point, like, what I'm thinking.
What's the point?
Well, no. What I'm thinking. So the lifetime of the sun is 5 billion years.
Yeah.
The lifetime the universe is 14 billion years old.
Yeah.
So that means that, obviously the stars vary in their age and how long they last, but we can't have had more than a few like life cycles of stars. And obviously, in order to get enough elements to create life, civilizations, etc., you have to have had a few supernova go off nearby. So you have to have had
with the scale of the universe, you'd expect that to have happened at least a couple of times.
I mean, compared to the age of reasonable sized stars and the age of the universe, it's not that much difference.
Yeah.
Especially as we look out further and further, obviously everything gets younger. So this solar system we've in, the sun is probably the third star that's existed here.
Yeah.
Say, obviously give or take. So the previous stars around us have been the ones that have kicked out enough material for us to exist.
To make us star people.
Millions and billions of stars.
Stars.
Fucking Brian. Fucking Brian Cox, Jesus Christ. Don't make me rant about Brian Cox, move on.
No, parents got me. Did I tell you that they got me like a little box of goodies?
Go on.
They gave me a book by Brian Cox and they were like, oh, do you like it? Do you like it? Like, yeah. Yeah, I'll read it. I like Brian Cox. I've not been able to start him.
Guys, didn't you know that we're made out of stardust? Isn't that interesting? That's all we're going to tell you.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm thinking, is that did before now, did we have enough material in the universe to create complex life? I mean, I guess all you need for us, like hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, like you don't need stuff like gold. It's obviously to create
That's pretty cool.
I mean, obviously to create a civilization, we value gold because there's not very much of it, and there's not very much of it because it's a heavy element.
Mm-hmm. Which means you need more stars to go boom.
And there's obviously less of it than there is, say, hydrogen.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is a perfectly reasonable sort of way of taking this. Haven't enough stars exploded to... Yeah, no, I think you've won me around on that. It does make sense.
So that would point to us, but I mean, at the end of the day, as we've already said, 10,000 years is not very long in universal scales. So
no.
It could have been that a million years ago, which again is very long in the lifetime of the sun or the stars nearby, something could have popped up and died in 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And that could have happened several times in our neighborhood. So there's different ways of thinking about it, I guess. Analogous to the first city-states of Mesopotamia or the Indus Valley or Tokugawa Bakufu prior to Western contact. I guess that's Japan. No. I don't speak anime.
Tokugawa does sound.
I think Tokugawa was one of the families or the clans or whatever of Japan. I think they ruled it. There were some shoguns at one point. JD fucking loves science. Thank you, JD.
He lives science.
He lives it, does he?
Every day.
Yes.
He needs morals when you've got science.
Christ.
No, don't need him either.
I guess we can briefly talk about these great filters.
Yes, the actual specific ones.
So I guess this is what I've basically just talked about, the right star systems, including organics. So you need to have stuff like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen.
Silicon.
Silicon-based
life form.
The issue with silicon-based life forms is that we breathe, obviously, carbon dioxide out, which is a gas. And that kind of leads me to assume, I don't know this, that they would breathe out silicon dioxide as a gas. But wait, silicon dioxide is like a rock. It's like sand. Exactly.
Well, maybe they won't have to breathe in the same way we do. They just eject the sand out their arse or something.
Just vent it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, why not? Just have it as a build-up in the same way we shit. That's just another extraction that they have.
Life finds a way, I suppose. But then
everywhere's just a desert because everyone just keeps farting out sand constantly.
Well, then you have an oxygen cycle. You need to have some sort of other, because obviously we breathe oxygen, makes carbon dioxide. Plants breathe the carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, so it has a cycle that goes round. So they would need some sort of sandworm that eats the silicon dioxide and breathes out oxygen.
If they use oxygen. Does it have to? Is that like a fundamental thing that organisms
That's a
must
good point. I
use
can't remember
oxygen?
why we use oxygen. This is to do with chemical bonds. I think I know carbon is good for bonding to a lot of different things at the same time because it's got a lot of
It's got a lot
bonding
of
sites.
yeah.
This is testing the limits of my chemistry here.
Yeah, I'm not a chemist by any means.
It's funny that when I went to university, I'd only done GCSE level chemistry. So when I started doing atomic physics in like third year at uni, they were like, "Oh yeah, these are suborbitals." And I'm like, "What the fuck's that?"
This is an S1 electron. What?
As far as I was concerned, it was just atoms, electrons orbiting a nucleus.
Yeah, in shells of 2 and then 8 and then 8.
Yeah. Okay, so you start off, we get the rest of our system also includes the other planets in it. So there's some theories that Jupiter has actually been very useful to us because it reflects a lot of asteroids away.
Mm-hmm.
So we literally, we literally live in the embrace of the great god Jupiter. He protects us.
Praise be him.
Praise be to Jupiter. Peace be upon him. The midwit stares, baffled by your question regarding morality and economics, after he clearly stated science can solve anything.
It annoys me because I used to be one of those.
Same, yeah.
It's like, why do you need anything else? Science just explains everything. It's like, even if it doesn't now, it'll explain it eventually.
I guess I wasn't really as there with morality because I used to be a lot more Christian than I am now.
Well, I wasn't.
Economics.
I was far more nihilistic. Just like, nothing matters. Science says so.
Yeah.
As I swept my fringe from in front of my eye.
Well, I mean, I was quite religious, but I did not understand it or like appreciate it in any way. Like nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was like hardcore atheist, and I was one of these like, yeah, you only need science, you don't need anything else. If you believe anything else, you're just stupid. But
magic God man.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, I've sort of grown up a bit and sort of like, actually, no, I do understand it has a much deeper meaning that just magic man does good.
Yeah, the right stuff
can do bad as well. That's what I've learned.
I mean, there's also the fact that we have the moon.
Man doesn't like the French. Go on.
So the moon is strange in that it's the same. The ratio of its size as opposed to the sun and its distance as opposed to the sun is the same.
Mm-hmm.
That
proves that God exists.
That's a very strange coincidence, isn't it? And that means we can get exact vexes. It's Jesus.
Jesus is the moon.
Jeebus did it. Well, I mean, it makes sense to worship the sun and moon, like from a fucking like I've said this that some worship is probably the most logical religion.
I mean, it's life giving.
It's literal cosmic power.
Whoa.
Yeah, so then you need something that reproduces. Something that reproduces. I guess RNA is a lot more simple compared to DNA. I'm not familiar with the specific differences.
I think it's just. Does RNA make up DNA?
No, I think it's like an alternative because I think a lot of viruses, even nowadays, use RNA. So yeah, just to encode its genetic information, but it is reproductive as well, like DNA is. Simple single. So these obviously are filters that you have to get, sort of boxes you have to tick through time. So then you need simple single cell life. So that's the primordial ooze. This was, I guess, the idea is this is formed around volcanic vents in the ocean floor because you've got a lot of energy going on there, and a lot of chemicals coming out of the core. And then complex life, we split single cell life into simple and complex. So I guess you've got primordial ooze and then like bacteria and shit. I don't know what these words mean. Sexual reproduction, the good stuff.
The good.
None of that asexual shit.
No, get with my Amazonians.
I guess that this is part of the this introduces the genetic diversity and kind of kickstarts evolution properly.
Yeah, because if you're not being, well, yeah, you got two different.
If you're just cloning yourself, then you're only going to
basically relying on defects to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the kickstart evolution really requires the sexual,
which, to be fair, did work for a while.
RNA mutates quickly because it's oxygenated. Ah, I see. Yeah, because DNA is deoxyribose nucleic acid. So I guess this is just ribose nucleic acid. Makes sense. Thank you, some bloke. I've never seen you before ever, but welcome and thank you.
Hello. That's such a
Okay, so you gone from to multi-cell life. So I guess this is the first sort of fish and then Cambrian explosion and that sort of thing. But as I said before, this is a massive step from multi-cell life. So that's like to cave monkeys with big throbbing brains.
The biggest. And
the biggest of only brains so big they can possibly understand atheism. And then I guess they say where we are now. I think there was different. Okay, so potential for colonization explosion. So that's where we are now.
So yeah, it's sort of built up a somewhat cooperative society.
Well, no, it's competitive.
Yeah, but you still cooperate through competitiveness.
I suppose resources get distributed to where they're most needed.
Markets are just ways of us cooperating on a worldwide scale.
I would dispute that. I guess it's competitive, but not a war.
You can still be cooperative and competitive at the same time. I don't think they're mutually exclusive.
I
could be wrong,
because you're not even like if you know I'm so if my company subcontracts some work to another company, that's us competing, but we're also both working in our own interest because the time taken to do the work or the effort required to do the work is not worth the amount of money I'm being paid. But it is to the person doing the contract work.
Yes.
So it's still non-competitive in that. Sorry, no, it's still non-collaborative in that you're all working in your own interest.
But
you're not working in the interest of the group or the civilization or whatever. You're working in your own individual interest, but that leads to cooperation or to cooperative results, I guess. As it's not competitive in that we're at war. It's competitive as in we're. Well, again, because then even if I'm giving out contracts, people are still going to compete for those contracts.
Yeah.
And then you cooperate with the one who wins the competition. But again, you're not cooperating because you're both working in your own interest.
I didn't say cooperate. I said collaborate.
Cooperating. Oh, okay.
Like collaborating in mutual interests, whereas cooperative means, I guess,
a sort of higher group interest, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's sort of what I'd collect on the.
Yeah, I guess collaboration also kind of implies working together, but doesn't really imply the meaning behind that. I don't know. I guess to me, cooperative has like the connotation of worker co-ops to me, which is commie shit that I don't care about.
Yeah. No, I'm against that as well. Well, not against it. If it works, it works.
I'm against cooperation, damn it.
I hate all of this.
Must be competitive Darwinian.
But I'd say it depends on in which ways you measure in which ways you're being collaborative, and which ways you're being competitive.
I suppose. This is
again on a tangent. We'll carry on.
Well, I guess all we've got to say is where we are now, and then from where we are now to this colonization explosion, which is, as I said, where the competitiveness pushes every faction to start expanding as fast as possible.
Which is what this podcast is advertising us move towards.
This is what we're entirely advocating towards.
This is the entire reason that we do this week on week. We are just slowly building up momentum behind our space empire.
Yeah. So this is what what's he called? Hansen says that this great silence, which is the term I prefer, implies that one or more of these steps are extremely improbable.
Yes.
So so improbable that we have not seen anyone pass them. Or, as we've said before, we are the first people to even attempt to try and pass them.
Yeah. They're both equally terrifying.
That's true, yeah. I mean, the idea of a nuclear war, or the fact that, you know, we get to a point where we... Well, how do I put this? We're so kind of advanced, and there's so many of us that we just can't sustain ourselves, I guess. That there is literally just a maximum point that we can achieve.
No, that's quitters talk.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying
we're gonna go forever.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want that to be true, but maybe it is true.
It's possible.
The idea, because obviously, where we got to now, obviously we've been kind of moved from our path that we were going down in the 50s and 60s, where we were going to colonize Mars by 1990.
Yeah, we'll do it by 2050.
But like, we've got more and more kind of, democratic, open, less free, I suppose.
You democracy.
Maybe that's just, if there's more people, there's more stupid people. So.
Yeah.
So as soon as you basically reach a point where there's just too many stupid people, I don't know.
I'd argue we're pretty close.
Not that, yeah. I mean, there's certain. Obviously, I'm not saying that I'm not one of the stupid people in a lot of ways, but it's like at some point it's not just to do with the proportions, right? Because you'd assume that the proportions of smart people and average people and stupid people.
It's a distribution, isn't it?
Maybe it's not even the stupid people that's the issue. Maybe it's the average people that are the issue.
Well, I've always viewed myself as at least slightly above average.
Well, I think everyone does. That's what I'm trying to be a bit careful of.
Which worries me, because if I'm not, then my entire worldview is destroyed.
Well, I mean, think how stupid the average person is, and then half the people are less intelligent than them. I mean, it's not just about intelligence, is it? Like, it's not just like raw IQ, which annoys me.
Yeah, I hate the IQ as sort of like, oh, my IQ is better than yours. It's like, great, but what do you do with it?
Well, yeah, like, are you a lazy bastard who doesn't do anything, or are you actually?
Yeah, I think isn't the guy with the highest IQ? Isn't he just dedicating his entire time to proving that God exists mathematically? Which depends on which side of the spectrum you fall on.
Well, yeah, like there's no point in having
doing it, or you could be applying that to get us to fucking Mars, mate.
Well, yeah, you could have the highest fuck IQ.
And... Go look for God. It could be demons or anything on Mars.
Yeah, you could just be autistic as shit and not understand how to form meaningful relationships, and people get very a lot of meaning out of that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's like one of those questions. It's like, what would you prefer? Would you prefer to have super high IQ but not be able to make friends, or would you rather make loads of friends but be thick as shit?
Not even thick of shit, just average.
Just average. I just think being average might be worse than being thick as shit, to be honest, because then you know.
Christ. Well, I mean, that's what, as JD said, by the midwit is the person, the average person who thinks they're better than they are.
Yeah, I think that describes me pretty well, to be honest.
Well, at least, I mean, the fact that you're making an effort to not be like that shows, I guess.
Well, yeah, I'm trying not to be. Like I say, this entire week is me trying to sort my shit out.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
Not touching my penis, that's one of them. No November ho, let's go. I'm just going to come into like this in like 3 weeks' time and just be, ooh.
It's just some sort of gorilla, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you gain magical wizard powers.
Yeah. I'm just going to be doing this entirely levitating.
You've ascended to a higher plane.
I have, yeah.
No, not November changes a man.
Yeah, I'm generally trying it just because I'm curious. I am just seeing it as like a self-challenge. So don't think I've gone for more than a few days since like the age of 11.
Too much information.
Yeah, probably, to be honest, but yeah, fuck. If the internet's not for oversharing, what's it for?
I guess. No one knows who you are anyway.
Exactly. Just some knobhead on the internet. Which, to be
Apparently,
honest, is pretty accurate.
Flat cap Nietzscheism will be our savior.
Damn right. Paving the way, boys.
Do we have anything else to add to this? Because I guess that's our idea is that one of these has to be mad improbable, or something else that isn't considered here has to be crazy improbable to get to where we are now, or it's something in the future. It's either something up till now is really improbable, or something from where we are now to here is really, really hard.
Yes.
What's some bloke saying? God's creation is glorious and it's fun to see how it works, but it can't be used to disprove the existence of its and our creator. Science and faith are totally compatible. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're compatible. I don't think you have to have a lack of faith to believe in science as well.
I don't know. It just gets me. It just annoys me when religious people start trying to.
Well, it depends on what you view as faith. Like, if you're going for creationism, then I think that is harder to sort of coexist with science.
I've had some, not even Christians. I've had like Hindu mates kind of jump in on spiritual shit, and I'm like, that's just not. That's just not real, though. Like, I don't know. And it sounds dangerously. It sounds dangerously like postmodernism. What you're saying, like, oh, everything's relative. Like, it is possible to just be wrong. Humans are the butt of a practical joke. Lol, these earthling bellends still haven't worked how we cover the telescope. Wait, still have worked. What? I can't read at the moment.
Lol, these earthlings.
I guess that's the zoo hypothesis, isn't it? Is that assumed behavior and existence of a technically advanced extraterrestrial life, and the reasons they refrain from contacting Earth. So they keep us as basically like pets to look at and laugh.
Which is fair enough.
So we're basically lab rats.
Yeah, I mean,
or we're in a simulation and nothing matters. As we talked about last week, we're all AIs that are being tested to see whether we're.
It's true. If you can change reality into numbers, you can plot everything. I think it was Laplace who said that. If you give me enough time, I'll be able to.
He didn't
prove the world. Or something like
he didn't know about quantum.
Well, no. Okay, quantum's a bit fucky, but.
I mean, I guess the idea is that here's my theory. You ready for my theory?
Christ, go on.
So we talked about last week about AIs being. So what you do is you create an AI and you kind of stick it in a simulation to test it, to see whether it's crazy or not.
Right. Yeah.
This is
that crazy simulation.
I was going to say we are all AIs that have been created and put in one big simulation together, and the reason that we have religion and shit is because. I
hope that's true.
It's because obviously we have this is literally what I'm saying. This is literally what I'm saying. Is that we have this fear of being judged, and we have these ideas of religions where your deeds that you do throughout your life will be rewarded or punished after you're gone. So this is literally what you do with an AI: is you stick it in a simulation and see what it does, and if it does bad stuff, then you remove it, and if it does good stuff, then you reward it by actually putting it into some use.
Jesus.
And my theory is, well, this is all of us. We are all just AIs that have been created and stuck into a one big simulation together. This is why we have a fear of being judged. We have a whole religion set up about this. Is why we search for meaning, is because this meaning is what we're going to be put into if we do well.
Oh, can we not? with my dad going on about the Great Reset and things, like
it's also why we see no aliens. Because why would they put aliens in the simulation?
Because they'd be cool. Why wouldn't you?
They've created the illusion of a great big universe out there, which seems to make sense from a sort of dead ticking clock point of view. just to keep it, just to keep it busy.
Jesus Christ!
They're giving us enough natural world to kind of keep us busy and trying to understand it.
He's going to say that reality is just going to dissolve one day, and
Why would it?
we just
They're constantly seeking better AIs. Alex Jones is the only one who's going to be rewarded, though. That's the.
I hope so.
That's the ticket. He's the one who's figured it out. Or either that, or he's the really dangerous one that they need to destroy.
I mean, they're censoring him now.
They need to just shut him up long. He's figured out how to stop them from turning him off.
He's become too powerful. Oh, he will become our God Emperor one day. I hope he runs for office, like 10 years' time.
Christ.
Just like a Kanye candidate.
I mean, InfoWars was enormous before it was shut down in the US. Like, it was genuinely massive. Like, I had no idea.
Wait, what was massive? Sorry.
InfoWars.
Oh, apparently it was. Yeah, I don't know how big it was, but I know it was big. I mean, it still exists. It's still got the website.
Yeah, but it's not the same after they used it.
It's the same beast it was for. Yeah.
No, they removed it from social media and all.
I like him, and it scares me how often he's right.
Yeah, especially
Jelly does make me start thinking. It's like, could psychic vampires exist?
There's always.
It sounds stupid, but a lot of the other stuff which he said sounded stupid and was true. So
there's always a kernel of truth in what he says, which is mad. Like, that's what Joe Rogan was saying. Like, literally, quite often, if you Google what he said, or if you look up articles on what he said, like, he's pretty much most of the time he's close.
Yep.
Like, the fucking off the top of my head, we've got frogs were trans, not gay. We've got the Chinese were developing pig hybrids. There were whole news articles on that.
Yeah. What was the other one? Epstein. You knew about Epstein.
He was
years before it was.
Yeah, elite pedophiles. He was bang on with them.
Yeah, with the Grove. What was it? Bohemian Grove.
Bohemian Grove. I don't know. I didn't know anything about that until I watched the Rogan thing the other day.
I'd heard of it before, but I didn't know.
I literally never heard of it. I had no idea.
I think I'd seen the video. I think on like a separate channel, but I didn't know it was him. So, yeah. It's quite often right.
Yeah, I mean, Epstein was a big one actually. That I was like, holy shit.
Holy shit! Right, Clockwork Elves and psychic aliens.
Well, yeah, that's
it's all true. It's all true.
That's all he said about that is like sounds unrealistic. Really, is the Clockwork Elves and the interdimensional child.
But even still, this is what it's done to me now. I'm there like, it sounds ridiculous, but
we both need to take enough DMT.
Or maybe he's not taking enough.
Maybe.
Always a possibility.
Wouldn't mind the lab rat theory if the alien species is the Amazonian women. I'll be alright.
Oh, you are talking my language.
It's November the 1st. Calm down.
I know. Imagine what I'm going to be like in 4 weeks' time. Frothing at the mouth.
Christ.
Flooring at the walls. Jesus.
On that note, I think we might wrapping this up.
Do they have Amazonian women in CK2? That might just be my entire meme. I was just going to try and colonize France as a Muslim region, but
I think all the Muslims are gone pretty much. There's like one bit that was in Syria that Jack just curb stomped in the last episode.
Yeah, okay, maybe not then.
I mean, I could find a map actually of where we're at. I mean, this is like kind of relevant to the stream, but fuck it.
This can be our shill.
Yeah, I mean, later on I'll be on this Jack stream again.
As will I as well.
As will Sam. This is the map. Actually, let me just. Can I open the link? Can I open it as a web page? Oh, I can. This is the map.
High fidelity.
So, if anyone hasn't been watching Jack streams, I highly recommend because they're a lot of fun. Even they're extremely autistic, but
who's Byzantine? The purple one.
That's Heraclius. He went a bit mental last episode and just called it.
You don't say.
Into Tibet, like Nepal.
Bloody hell!
He basically did what Alexander the Great did, but more and in less time.
You trying to say Heraclius, whatever his name was. It's better than Alexander the Great.
Yeah. Okay, so these guys are the only Muslims left, I think. Holy fuck! Bones took over all of Arabia. I did not notice that.
Jesus.
Started off as a little merchant republic. He's got like all this is one merchant republic. He's fucking.
I thought the blue ones are a merchant republic, isn't it?
No, they're not.
Gone feudal.
So this is the Pope as well down here.
Oh no, is that the African Pope
taking over Africa? So what I was proposing is to stick you like here in my. So this is me. I'm the Soviet Union. I've gone a bit mad here. I was going to stick you here and basically let you go east. Mitch is up here, so I'd say leave him alone.
Who's that? Sorry,
Mitch. He joined a couple of weeks ago.
Right,
He does some stuff on YouTube.
I think I've seen him in.
Yeah, he's got a few subs on YouTube. He's relatively well known. But yeah, Jack also got hold of England and Ireland.
Nice.
So
is Harry still in Wales?
Yes.
Has he not escaped Wales yet?
Yeah, he's got a bit of Cornwall as well. Cornwall and Devon.
Cornwall and Devon is classed as Wales in the Digital Kingdom.
Oh, that's true. Actually, yes, that is true. So I could either, I mean, depends if you want to join me because there's a lot of horse people around that you could do if you wanted. Become the Horde.
Am I going to be able to reclaim my gay horseman lover?
Potentially.
Was that in a solo game or was that in the game we had? have I just revealed to you?
That was after we'd stopped streaming, I think.
My gay Khal Drogo. The glorious Queen of Wales. Yeah.
You should. I mean, JD, you're welcome to still join if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm joining.
Yeah, Sam's joining this week.
What, episode 10? Episode 11?
Something like that, yeah. I mean, we're going to be doing another like 50 episodes because we want to do the whole thing, and then after that, we might move on to EU4.
JD, join, and we'll create an empire of nothing but Amazonian and Asian women.
You could go in Spain or something. Spain looks a bit, or like Northern Italy, to fuck with Jack.
No, we're not fucking with Jack. That's suicide.
As I said at the end of last episode, there's a crusade going on like here.
Right. Is that in Powell's area?
Yes.
Powell Yellow. Yeah.
Yes. Powell and I got married as well. It was very romantic.
Cute. So wait, are you like the heir to his kingdom now?
No, but I was a matrilineal one, but I already had loads of heirs.
Right.
So he basically wanted heirs, but I was like an old man. So I was like, yeah, fuck it, why not?
Fair.
I found the Duck Dynasty.
Like it.
So what is a pill? Is it simply a realization of some... Yeah, it's kind of an epiphany, I guess.
Well, yeah, it's from Matrix, isn't it?
Yeah, black pill, red pill.
Well, red pill and blue pill are the two original ones.
And there's like white pill and black pill for really positive or really negative. And there's like clear pill as well, which I'm not too...
Clear pill is what I've started seeing recently. Yeah, basically it's... red pill is the one that you take to where your current reality sort of dissolves around you and you start to find out the truth. That's the meme, basically. Where you start to stop looking at like mainstream media and start looking outwards from that.
Well, the blue pill is like just accepting the reality that you see and living with it.
Yeah, and sort of just being content with it, which is an awful thought. And then black and white pilling are sort of like opposites. Black pilling is like making people nihilistic, and
everything's focused. I don't do anything about it.
Yeah, white pill is hope. Clear pill, I don't know.
Clear pill is like there's nothing you can do about it, but it's best to just try and live your life as best you can within what's going on. I think it's
gaining depth.
it's a whole like Mulbug NRX thing that I don't fully understand.
I have no idea those words that you just said.
It's complicated. What I could do is stick you in Scandinavia just to annoy Jack because I think he had plans for Scandinavia.
I want to be in this for at least a couple of episodes.
I mean, you just end up as his vassal. You won't get kicked out. Or I could put you in Finland and then be the Winter War. Because I thought about invading Finland, but to be honest, I think it'd be more fun to kind of get hold of Lithuania and then go east. Because there's a lot of horse people down here. I kind of want a genocide.
I'll join you in that genocide.
Okay.
That's fun. Yeah.
So I guess if I can make you king of Vladimir, who's
Sick.
like this bit.
Right. Am I allowed
think-
to expand outwards?
Yeah, then just go mad, go east if you want.
Sick.
I think
cool, I'll do that.
Mitch is up here in pink, so I guess leave him alone for now.
Will do.
But like all this shit, and if you need any help with horse swords and stuff. Oh, of course, yeah. You said you were going to be in Sri Lanka, didn't you, JD? Like that, all the way down here, like far away from everyone. Oh God, Bones has got into India.
He was.
But the guy in Arabia. Oh, sorry, I've covered up on the screen, haven't I? The guy in Arabia has got some
he has?
in India. The Maldives, is it there?
No idea. You're asking the wrong person about geography.
I think it's the Maldives down there. The White Raja. Yeah, India. This is an AI guy. This isn't one of us. This guy in India. So he's done pretty well.
Damn Estonians.
Yeah. This is Imperator as well in Tibet, I think.
Right.
No, it should be good.
So is it sort of just like gentleman's rules that each player doesn't really fight between each other?
Well, there's a bit of rumbling. I think Jack's been expanding quite aggressively.
Well, I mean, it has to end at some point.
Well, this crusade that's going on here is Catholics in like these little kingdoms around here.
Right.
Have all basically invaded Powell and me, just as I changed the faith to be Reformed Slavic, not regular Slavic.
Right.
Which meant that all my vassals were the old Slavic and didn't come and join in with this crusade.
Right.
Which meant that so Powell got wiped out immediately. I came in and helped for a bit. And then it turned out that Jack was allied with these guys. So he just like sat 50,000 guys in fucking like the Netherlands. And then Heraclius came in with the Greek like legions, parked them down here, and I helped out a bit. And then his computer crashed, so the AI took over for him, and they all just left.
Oh.
And then Harrion had sailed like 5,000 guys across because he's Catholic, and then I think he got initially fucked by.
Was he joining the crusade?
Yeah, he joined the crusade.
Brave man.
Heraclius like gave him a beating, and he ran away to his boat. Then came back, and I chased him all the way up through Central Europe back to his boat. It's such like the last half an hour of that episode is so fucking funny.
Is that last week's?
Yeah, last week. That's literally where we're left off is literally me with like 10,000 guys here with maybe like 20, 30,000 Crusaders.
Right.
And that's
I'll be honest, I'm about 3 episodes behind. So,
I mean, there's a lot of autism and a lot of conquering. I mean, you can see I've expanded quite a lot.
And we'll conquer so much more together.
It's going to be lit. All right.
We will form a great and powerful future.
Soviet Union.
A great and powerful empire.
I promised Cringe Walker, who's in Greece and Romania, like some places down here.
Right.
But I don't really give a shit about that. We can just do the rest of the whole of Russia, basically. Not that there's much there, but it would look cool on the map.
It would look cool. I'm all for.
I mean, actually, well, to be fair, thinking about it, we'll probably get ass fucked by the Mongol hordes at some point.
Oh Jesus! Yeah.
So it might be a good idea to basically get to like here, like this river, and like put down a massive defense line.
Yeah.
And then hopefully at some point we can persuade so basically get this whole area, and then basically persuade the Byzantines to come and help us.
Vassalize Mitch as well.
I mean, potentially.
Chilling up north.
I mean, he's only joined like last week or the week before, so I don't really want to fuck up his game too much. I started helping him expand a bit as well, so maybe I can vassalize him later on.
Yeah, fair play.
Cool. All right. Well, I think after that chat, we will leave it there slightly.
Yeah, this is all at 9 p.m.
9 p.m. on Jack's channel. Again, anything else to shill?
Economic Erudite, for those who aren't following him.
Nice.
It is good. As a spectator for the past, well, I can't say for the last few weeks, but for weeks before, it is good. It is good times.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun playing as well.
Fuck me. Just crap.
Oh, if you look in the Discord now, Sam, they are talking about the mods and stuff.
Why don't I get notifications on Discord anymore?
Also, I said that there's a sort of tech community starting up relatively soon.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I will be shilling in future and will be posting links to on my Twitter, so you can go follow that. I don't think I have anything else to add. Next week we'll come up with something. I think the week after I might be able to get Cringe Walker on.
Yeah.
He said he was
that's cool.
So that could be cool. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
And I will see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.